Slovakia's Prime Minister Robert Fico was shot 5 times in an assassination attempt. The attack took place after an off-site government meeting in the central Slovakian town. The suspected gunman shot him as he was meeting a small crowd of people who'd been waiting to meet him on the street outside a cultural center. This has shocked the world, but it's not the first time that a leader has been attacked while he was engaging with his supporters. In 1981, Ronald Reagan was shot and wounded when he was leaving a hotel in Washington. In 1991, former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi was killed by a human bomb. She was standing with a garland to greet him as he stepped forward. She blew herself up. In 2022, former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, was killed after being shot twice in the chest and neck during a campaign speech in Japan. Now, leaders are representatives of the people. As part of their job, they need to meet people, but this is also the time when they are at their most vulnerable. So what does it take to secure a leader? To begin, let me start by introducing my guest for the show. Joining me to discuss this are Colonel Sandeep Sen, former NSG, 51 SAG, combat veteran. He was the man who led the NSG into the Nariman House operations in 2611 Mumbai. Colonel Sen, honored to welcome you back on the News9 Plus Show.
Thank you, Sundeep, for having me.
And my colleague Deepak Bhadana joins us as well. Deepak covers security matters. Deepak, what was your first take on seeing that assassination attempt yesterday? Deja vu?
See, this is, as you just mentioned a little while ago, all leaders need to meet their constituents.
Yes.
And while this is a necessity, it is also the point when they are most vulnerable. In the Indian context, a couple of days ago, people raised the same question about Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Modi is extremely popular and he is in his true element during his rallies.
Yes.
But that is also a time when our security forces are working overtime to keep him safe.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I think that's part of the job there.
Colonel Sen, I want to come to you. You know, we spoke last when we discussed this point earlier when former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was assassinated. And there you saw that sight of his bodyguards freezing. When the first shot went off, they had about 2.5 seconds to step in and save Shinzo Abe's life. They froze. Tell us why split-second reflexes are so important when you're in the commando VIP protection role.
I will take it in a different way. You know, when the PSOs, the personal security officer
Yes.
of a protectee, it is their it's their bread and butter. This is
Yes.
for this job. Their very existence is there. This is they have to do from time they get up and they till the time they
Absolutely.
sleep.
Yes. That's what they train for
Yeah.
all their
So,
lives.
yeah. It is. This is the only thing they are going to do.
Right.
You've got nothing else. So when you are specifically tasked for a thing, you have
Right.
to be on your toes.
Right.
But the problem with the Western, in Europe, Japan, you
Yes.
take advantage wherever there is a peace.
Right.
This kind of situation doesn't. Violence is less in their
Yes.
country.
Right.
There, the complacency sets in.
Right.
So the bodyguards and the PSOs of specifically these countries where the
Right.
threat perception is less
Yes.
are not very much, up their toes. It is a generally routine job for them. They
Right.
don't expect that in their country, their prime minister or any VIP or protectee will be attacked.
Right.
If you take it further, in our country, people complain. Why,
Right.
why European leaders speak
Yes.
freely to the media? Why they travel on a public
In public transport.
network.
Yes. That's
in
right.
public transport,
Right.
and they can go to any restaurant and eat.
Yes.
So because it is their culture, and
Right.
they are not used to such kind of security. But you will
Right.
not find a prime minister or a protectee or a person of importance
Yes.
in a country where threat perception is high. You will not
Right.
find even a normal person is going in a terrorist infected area. He is
Yes.
going for a cup of tea.
Right.
So this is the reason that they generally get failed. This
Right.
is my perception.
Oh, that's an important point there, Deepak. As Colonel Sen mentioned, the fact that it is the culture that these security guards operate in, the kind of the climate that they are operating in, that it's a low threat perception country. I don't think Slovakia has too many terror attacks, Colonel Sen, and neither does Japan for a while now. The Red Brigades have not been very active there. That's a good thing. But as you said, this kind of influences the perception of the bodyguards as well. But if you're a former commando as well, you've led forces in the NSG, and the NSG studies all these incidents across the world. The SPG, I'm sure, does that as well. What are the kind of lessons that you would give your comrades? What would you tell them to look out in all these incidents? Because I remember you telling me very closely that when you were in the NSG, you would study terror attacks all across the world for patterns, for new modus operandi that terrorists would use, because they copy very quickly. They learn and they copy very quickly. How would you advise our security agencies? What would they have to be prepared for, given the fact that we have our VVIPs, our heads of state and government and elected representatives freely mingling with the people, because election season is on in India right now?
See, I will grant our security agency and our PSOs. I'll say they are much better trained,
right,
much better aware, and it is not that only the bodyguard is in question who are in the fray.
right.
This kind of attack when it's taking place, unlike in their country where this Prime Minister has gone straight away and people are there to meet, standing there to meet him.
Yes.
It is all planned before. Okay,
right.
when the Prime Minister comes out, he will
right.
go to place A, place B, and like this and that.
Right.
But because the threat perception is less there, and
yes.
they are not having any terrorist attack kind of thing, it is a purely political hate crime, you can
yes.
say. Unlike our country, the entire plan of a VIP or a person who's being protected
yes.
is planned in advance. Every move from
yes.
where he will move, where up to where he will go, he
right.
will meet whom, everything is planned.
Yes.
And there are people, in this case you will not find security persons standing across the this barricade.
Yes.
But in our country, there always be second tier and the third
right.
tier of the protection is planned. Also in a political event, I don't think that Modi ji is our Prime Minister is moving like this. There
right.
will be when he moves in a cavalcade,
yes.
when he is going in a road show, there will be close protectees, then
yes.
outer layer and then the medium
multiple
layer
rings of security around.
So,
yes.
Multiple rings of security, and every person around them would be would be checked, and somebody.
Right. That's heartening to know that we have a better security for our heads of government than they have in foreign countries that you just mentioned, Colonel Sen. But this thing of reflexes again, is that also a function of the security environment? Because I would tend to believe that your bodyguards are pretty much get the same kind of training across the world, that you are to react in like 2 or 3 seconds, because that is the critical time in which you have to make that move to stop the gunman from pulling off his drawing his first shot. Tell us about the training that you need for these reflexes.
See, these are the muscle memory reflexes.
Yes.
Every situation, day and night, you are training for this only. That is
right.
what I am saying. Your existence right. is this only.
Right. You've used a very technical term. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Colonel Sir. You use a technical term, muscle memory. I know you've told me this in the past, but explain for the benefit of our viewers what muscle memory is and why is it so important for a commando?
See, what happens when they practice the protection of a protectee.
Yes.
Then various scenarios are played up during
right.
the training. There are
right.
one team which is actually on a protection duty.
Right.
The another team who will take over is right now is practicing.
Yes.
So when they are practicing, they are playing a scenario where the protectee
yes.
A is going to this place, and suddenly somebody from the crowd fires on him.
Right.
So moment he fires on him, there are protection 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 who are gathered around him.
Right.
What the action 1 will do, and 2 will do, and 3 will do, and 4 will do. Who
right.
will give him, protect him,
yes.
who will give him body cover,
Right.
who will take out that bulletproof, mesh,
Yes.
which nowadays everybody carries,
Right.
and how the next 3% or 4% who are going to drag into the vehicle,
Yes.
and this every person's role is fixed, and
Right.
he prepares for it, and they keep on playing in a different scenario, so it comes into your memory.
Yes.
You are not worried about where the bullet is coming. Your actions are all fixed.
Right.
So this what happens in a where the threat perception is less,
Right.
and this person who attacked
Yes.
Mr. Robert Pizzo
Yes.
is a 71-year-old.
Right.
A 71-year-old fellow who is standing there, where
Right.
in the country where the threat perception is less,
Yes.
it will surprise any agency, and
Right.
they should not have.
Right.
But this is the reason I
Right.
can give on their behalf.
Very, very important points, Deepak. A 71-year-old assassin, a potential assassin who whipped out a pistol, and just 2 minutes he had, in 2 seconds, in fact, he had pumped in 5, bullets in it. But what's your takeaway from what Colonel Sen just told us about muscle memory and training and repetitive training of commandos?
I think that goes across the board for all servicemen. Like
Yes.
and in fact athletes as well.
Right.
Right. But what I'm more interested to understand is it's fine to have all these protocols in place in our country, but what about what happens when, say, Mr. Modi leaves for another country? Are our practices, our security protocols looked upon, with favor in those countries where the threat perceptions are much less?
Yeah, very important point there. How would our VVIPs, how can we kind of take our best practices when we go abroad with it? I imagine, when our heads of state, heads of government travel, the SPG and other close protection agencies travel with them. But how does this operate in a country with, a low perception of security, exactly like Slovakia, like you mentioned, or Japan for that matter?
See, what happens is it is not the threat perception of in that country.
Yes.
It is threat to a individual also. Okay, how much threat this person is having.
Right.
So when a state head comes to our country also,
Yes.
and I've been a part of that security protocol.
Yes.
It is a security teams comes in advance.
Right.
He does a liaison with local security and the security of the VVI security officers of the VVIP of this country, state heads of this country, and in the coordinated with their coordination, a plan is made, and also it is then the other aspects also. In case he is staying in a hotel, which hotel he is staying, and the protection of that hotel is also inner cordon is the
Yes.
responsibility of. If our head is going, then head of state is going, then the SPG will have that responsibility. But the outer layer will be coordinated by the security forces of that country.
Right.
So,
So
if I may-
it is in coordination and very well planned.
It's in coordination.
As
So
per
it's
the
basically that entire security architecture that's lifted into that other country. Yes.
But if I may, sir, do you think these threat perceptions or the threats themselves have increased over the last 2 decades?
Yeah, it has increased a lot because now, violence all over the world has increased. If you see whatever is happening in today, if you see United States, kind of agitations are taking place, and Arab countries, Syria, Israel, everywhere the hate crimes are increasing. People are losing their patience. So it's not that always terrorists are going to attack. A person like, a 71-year-old who is just your political rival and doesn't believe in you, and he thinks that you are lining with Moscow,
Right.
and you are pro-Ukrainian,
Yes.
and you can shoot. So such kind of thing happens.
Yes.
So it is increasing. It will further increase, and with the the technology which has increased, you
Right.
can 3D print a gun at your home.
Yes.
You can make a IED after learning from YouTube, and you also don't forget the drones.
Absolutely. Yes.
Everywhere the jamming of drone is not going to take place,
Right.
and it is very difficult to jam a drone. And the kind of what you have seen in Ukraine and Russia war, the kind of use of drone is taking place, it is going to be a very, very big challenge for all security forces all over the world.
Absolutely.
Not only
Thank you. Thank you very much, Colonel Sen. That's a fascinating insight into the world of commandos and close protection forces there from the man who's led some of our bravest commandos in the 2611 operation. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, Colonel Sen, my colleague Deepak Bhadana. We'll keep coming back to you for updates on what our commandos are up to when they go through these difficult tasks like protecting VIPs who are operating in public spaces.